The Nepal incident was something which was brewing for many years. We had an indicator from the UN, and there was a lot of effort being put by the local government to create that awareness within the industry to say, are you planning for the worst case scenario? We are the only foreign bank out there, and we were also been partnering with them, trying to help the local banks to address this issue. As when the incident actually happened, many years after the real preparation, it just caught people unaware because there were not everyone was really spending much more effort on really building up risk appetite. But what happened that day was very different because people were afraid to go back into any office. It doesn't matter your head office or your BCP side or your DR side, doesn't matter. They were afraid to go back to their homes. They're willing to sleep on the open, right? But we still had to be up and running the next day. And what really mattered that day was how do we manage this risk? How do we look at it from a customer perspective? Because bank needs to be up and running, and that is the point where the international funds and everything is coming through our channels, and we need to be supporting all that rescue operations going on in there. So what we came up was a very simple, effective solution. We said, let's start operating on the open environment. We removed the car parking, cleaned up the car parking, we moved all the equipments, wired it up, set it up, and our staff were more than happy to spend long hours to start the banking operation running. And we converted one of our external small kitchen, or I would say a staff canteen, into a makeshift branch and remove the windows to create customers to come and take the. That created us to be there for the customers. What we call we were here for good. And we were actually there for good, and we did a fantastic job. And not only that, it was not just a single day event. We had to sustain our situation for a longer period till we're ready to go back. What we do in our bank is every year we have an annual exercise, twice in a year actually. The crisis management team, the senior management, the CEO sit down and spend a couple of hours looking at what can go wrong in the next 6 months. And we cross-check whether our current plans are good enough, because we developed these plans somewhere in the past, and then these are like updated with people changes and telephone numbers, and then put back in the cupboards. But what we do differently is we look at these and we take up 3 risks. What are the 3 things which I need to worry for the next 6 to 12 months? Right. And then we cross-check whether these plans are adequate enough to address these risks. And sometimes we have to we go back and replan it. And sometimes we need to do a simulation exercise to make ourselves comfortable that the assurance is we have a plan in place which will work, and we will be able to address the customer perspective. It is very local. It goes from a local flavor. For example, in Africa, if you take Zimbabwe at the moment, there is a fuel shortage going on at the moment as I'm speaking. Yeah. I'm already in touch with my BCM out there. So the scenarios like the elections in Kenya, these are very different. I mean, we don't have elections in the Middle East. And so the risk linked to the actual environment is different from country to country. It's best to allow the local management to pick the top 3 rather than it's a top-down approach from the group.
Okay.
I would start with risk assessment. That's the first and foremost. And even the whole risk assessment is evolving over a period of time. As we embrace digitization and technology, things are changing so fast. Yeah. It's not about premises, it's not about facilities or all these infrastructure anymore. It is all about technology more and more where we are getting ourselves into. The best, rather than going to 3 pillars, my approach is, are we ready to relook at how we transform our perspective towards building our risk assessment and building our mitigations for these in the way the technology is evolving and growing? Are we catching up? And that's the biggest challenge. And sometimes it's very easy to follow a certain standard, international standard on BCP from Europe or from the US, and they come up with a lot of documentation, what you call ISO and whatever. Very confusing. What I call it, BCP is common sense.
Yeah.
I would rather put your common sense first and foremost to look at what is it that I'm doing, what is it I need to learn, I need to be prepared for, and am I ready to manage that, and can I go back and assure my management and my key customers and staff? That's a very simple logic, and that's a step I would follow, and I would say, this is what I'm going to do, and to make me feel, first I need to be comfortable with what I'm doing. If I'm not comfortable, I'm going to panic. That's what I was talking yesterday. And if you don't know the option B, like a fire evacuation, if I don't know the door to exit, I'm going to panic and I'm going to freeze, and I'm not going to go anywhere. That's the way I would put that. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines, because if you don't plan in advance, if you don't think and spend the time you have on hand to plan and look for, and then you lost it, right? And in a crisis, you're not going to go into a book which is 56 pages of document which you prepared, someone prepared for you, and go to page number 23, what do I do in this scenario? So the best thing is spend time reviewing it, apply it along with your team, and engage yourself asking these questions. And it's a tabletop is good enough. Sometimes you can't do a full simulated exercise. So failing to plan is planning to fail.